Hello. So there have been many movement in the development of my work and what I'm communicating, what I've been making available. And there have been seasons in what's been coming about and how things have been moving. Time moves ahead. Okay, let's just say every moment is new. And in the development of my work, I've been tending to call it as internal redistribution of units. And self-esteem is something that needs to be regularly worked upon um, because, well, we drink water or we don't drink water, and that steam has an effect on our um, health and composition. Yeah. And we're apparently getting old from how creaky our joints are or not. And maintaining the lubrication of our muscles, fascia, there are different people working on different aspects of our body. And natural resources is also something that needs to be regularly replenished. Youth is apparently from from how you maintain your body, but it's also what you do, why you do what you do. And age is apparently an uphill job. Now, having said that, if we consider that our body is not just physical, there is emotional, there is intellectual. They call it yoga shastras. They tend to categorize at least in terms of five: Annamaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, Anandamaya kosha. There's also Shabda kosha, by which I'm speaking. Now, what I'm saying is making sense to you or not, depending on the sound, the layer of sounds, or the body of sounds that makes your world versus my world. Yeah. There are many categorization, many ways of looking at how a body is composed. But I tend to consider, let's just say, basics in the sense. It also makes it easier in terms of six blind men and the elephant. Yeah, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, feeling, knowing, like six layers to a senses. So I tend to work from basics. So six kosha is also just works nicely with that. Maybe it's just a matter of convenience. I don't know, but it's tending to work fine. So you got to work from somewhere and then improve the content. Now I've been sharing this and such content on different walls, platforms, surfaces, websites, social media, um, LinkedIn, posts, writings. I could do some more on paper work and then make that more available, but it's about how far it goes. It goes as far as it goes. There's also something to consider. And probably when I'm interacting with more people, having a jam, or then it would be interesting. But since the 2 years of the pandemic, my offline work went a little more online and more exclusively online. Yeah. And to the point that, social distancing mandated and all of that. And I had to figure out how to have an online business work. Yeah. And that's a learning curve in and of itself. And in this course, I continued to update my website. And there's this page that I mentioned there that I called Donate. Yeah. A link to a payment gateway and all of that. The payment gateway, several changes have been happening in this time. And what is interesting is how many people have actually visited the website and how they have actually responded. and in what all ways? Okay. I'm now working on developing in being able to teach what my domain called dynamic stillness is. So I'm in different levels of learning better on how to teach it, because teaching is the next stage of learning, and the learning never stops because we're all lifelong students, and teaching is the next stage of it. But um, in the sense, they say a teacher is just one step ahead of what the student knows, or somebody who does not know the subject. Yeah. Um, and consequently, we just keep updating, bettering forward. Now, the point I'm making this video is express what you're really doing. Yeah. Either through your different social media, or through your craft work, or through any means of creativity. Let people know what you're doing. There's also podcasts. Yeah. Somebody or the other out there is listening to you. Yeah. It's like when the koel sings. Yeah. Koel said to lay its egg in a crow's nest, and the mother crow apparently does not know the difference between a koel egg and its own eggs, and takes care of it nevertheless. Um, a girl child is apparently said to be like the koel of the house. Yeah. Born to go to another house. That's the Indian way of thinking. Take care of another household. In that sense, girl child is said to be a koel of the house. Why am I mentioning this is there have been several concerns even during my development uh, stages with my parents, but I was thinking I'm this unwanted outside one. Yeah. I don't know how many girl children or even boys have that sense of, you're supposed to go out like a cat after a certain age, hiss, and then chases the little ones off to take care of themselves. Maybe in our human nature and animal nature, showing up through our um, human organizational behavior. And we're supposed to take care of ourselves, but not, I don't think, to just go off. Yeah. It's when we are in touch with where we come from, when we are in touch with our roots. That's as strong and as good that a tree grows. I call my work, I'm trying to bring better understanding of what I'm calling as meristem intelligence. But there are so many finer aspects to it that, especially when we have the causes for WHO's global list of diseases. Now, this may seem, I'm talking about seed and growing, and then talking about WHO's global list of diseases. A human being is a different kind of a seed. If we just consider what I was talking about as a girl child being like a koel, and is supposed to do things differently than boy children, yeah, boy child. Expectations are different, conditioning different, and those kinds of thought lines. But then there's this idea of a seed of life, the original seed of life. It's said to be like a coffee bean, yeah, two cotyledons. There's a slight difference, like a peanut. Peanut also, you open, you find a little cotyledon thing. A coffee bean inside a pod, yeah. Now, a peanut may have many of them, many peanuts in a pod. Coffee bean is just one. The original seed of life is said to have two halves. like a mother father, yeah, or nature nurture, let's just say. And there's a story, um, some culture, yeah, very old culture. They speak in terms of, um, in the beginning, this when the seed of life was formed, one of the cotyledons was in a hurry to be born, yeah, and then went um, taking the placenta, half of the placenta, yeah, it's half the placenta, and then was born kind, yeah, went to earth kind, rather. That's a little bit. There's also the thing of that cotyledon having contaminated the placenta, yeah, and from there emerged earth, so to speak. And so, in a way, a lot of distresses, dukkha, yeah, and earth was not happy because earth is like the placenta, the half the placenta, contaminated and not happy. And God was not happy either, yeah. And then the other half of the cotyledon, the other half of the seed, grew in its own time with the placenta, its half, comes with water to earth and then cleanses earth of the dukkha, the different distresses. And that's how earth, life then flourishes on earth. Yeah. So you could say mother, father, yeah, have their own stories. That's one way to look at it, nature, nurture. But human beings are said to be deciduous beings. There is one phase of life which may not be as, it's like you have a practice life, you're living life with what there is and how you have to survive life. And then it's like your real life begins when you realize that this is your real life. There's a saying as such. So that's when then flourish. The story is there for every person, yeah. um, till a certain age, or different kinds of distresses, and then at a certain point you have to then kind of start taking responsibility for your life and then dig in with your root and then grow from what's there, find your sources um, of inspiration, find your sources of um, how to turn things around. Things may not have worked as well as you'd like to. How then to turn things around. So within each of us is four aspects. It's also a Muladhara. We never really go out of what we were born with. You could say mother, father material. I could say nature, nurture. Life as has been, or life as we're born into, may or may not have a lot of survival concerns. Things working, things not working as well as we would like to. And then nature, masculine, feminine, divine feminine, or you could say nurturing parent, punishing parent. A set of parents, biological parents, and several caregivers, caretakers, teachers also, masculine, feminine. So in that sense, several people are like mothers and fathers. As we grow through there's also something called as reparenting, yeah, where you learn from other people, like your friends' parents. They did this, your parents didn't do, and then you compare, and then you take from something that you liked about them, yeah, so you kind of become different, or able, so to speak, to look at what is nurturing, what is helpful for you, what may not have worked for you. Eventually, you will come to see how what your parents also made available adds to the whole broth of that you are. And it's quite inherent in your blueprint as to who you are and how you became. So your parents' material is also part of how you formed to be. The thing is, the sukha and dukkha bit, it doesn't really go away. They become better. You find a better version of it or how you relate with it. So in that sense, you're getting richer, but you're also in some sense um, connecting better with what you always had. When you're expressing your story, when you're beginning to write your story, I recommend you start writing your story in some way, to start jotting down what works for you, what didn't work for you, how has your life been, main topics. As you're going about the writing bit, what I have noticed is you keep coming to the same topics every so many years, every so many months, every so many seasons. And hopefully, you've healed well enough. What that means is your relationship with your own body is better over time, which is when, I mean, our body is the tissue memories, the story keeper. Yeah, we are story makers. Hopefully, your relationship with yourself is better in such a way that the next time you visit that difficult aspect of your story, hopefully it is not going to be as difficult as it was when you experienced it. Because you are now at in a position, at a stage where you can look back and connect back with what happened or didn't happen in a way that you could not see then. You're eating different food. I mean, you're eating food. Your body is grown up better in size. You've aged more. And hopefully, that what it means to have aged is also you've kind of matured enough to look at those aspects which may not have been as well when you experienced it. And you'll only know that when you write your story, because you're writing it now about what happened sometime back. You're not there. You're here writing about what happened then. Yeah? Try writing it. A lot of what happened and what didn't happen is in your bodily composition. It's not really happening now, but you are kind of reliving it in some way. But are you living it the same way? I wonder. But if you don't write it, that continues to remain in your memory like that, and you don't visit it. It's like under the cupboard, or the skeletons in the cupboard, under the carpet, stories, and life continues to be not a pleasant. My life is like this. Why is it happening to me like this? Only my story is like this. And if you don't write it, there is nothing to look back at. Say a few years from now, a few months from now. Maybe it takes a few years, but that's okay. Because writing it is when your life story begins to become better. Otherwise, it stays in the blind spot. Writing changes something in a way that talking about it, going for therapy, or not, or simmering in your own ways, does not really change something. We are the authors of our own life. And it's sometimes, it is highly recommended, you write your own story. How things have been, how things are, and write from how things are today. Yesterday, today, tomorrow, write again. How things are today. and keep todaying your today. Yeah. And we don't know. What I've noticed is um, we don't like to keep writing the same old boring little stories. That's something that I've noticed. But that's something for you to discover, to see if it's true. And this is what I've tended to discover. Um, See if this is true. Try writing a story, and then you never know. You're going to write the same story tomorrow. So I have been writing on different media, website, social media, different services. I keep writing blogs sometimes. And it may seem odd sometimes what I'm writing, but I also wrote a page called Donate on my website. And one way, many ways, I think over time, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, began to get more refined, more come to a finer aspect. Yeah. Um, and getting better. Yeah. And people have my writings to go back to and check how much of what I'm saying is true or not. Yeah. That's available through videos, podcasts, different media. So people can ratify if there's consistency. But if you're not writing, if you're not beginning to do, at least writing is important. And then there are different media. But who you really are keeps getting defined, refined, the more you express and continue to express. I hope this gives you pause for thought. Enough to start expressing in your own ways. I have 6 means of expression, 6 media, kind of. You can sing, yeah. You could also sing or instruments. I would recommend singing and instruments. Pick one favorite instrument, yeah, that you would like to explore, kind. Writing, yeah, dancing, cooking, sketching, painting, weaving, yeah. Keep a reminder or some way, some ingredients about these 6 around you. Could also, actually, I would also recommend gardening. You can actually touch the soil, watch a plant grow. That does something for your composition, constitution. Is It's something that you can you should always get back to. If you're having a concern with growth and then how you're doing, if you're doing well enough. Anytime you get into those anxieties, make sure you're at least potting a seed. Yeah. Have plants growing around you. They will tell you how you're growing or not, or how well you could do, what you're not doing. They will demand plant. They will demand water, or they'll demand some care, or just want they're growing humans up. Yeah. Which is why we should also plant lots of trees and flowers and plants, and they just make you grow up. Yeah, not like that. Up, up, up. Yeah. Keep a plant pot and watch them grow. You help them grow. You grow them. Yeah. And keep these 6 expression forms around you. So one way or the other, you touch any of these 6, and you will not be the same person in a few months, years. Yeah. And that's worth, um, I can't tell worth how much of money, yeah, how much of wellness, well-being, not just for you, but for people around you. Um, it just gets better. I could keep repeating myself, so I'm going to pause now, yeah. Well, um, but that's also the point. I can get odd, I can be not so fine and perfect. Um, but that's kind of okay. Yeah. Sometimes we are all perfectly imperfect and imperfectly perfect. Yeah. But it's also important for us to be okay with being perfectly imperfect and imperfectly perfect. An expression gives you that ability to be without getting straitjacketed into this is how you are supposed to be. And there are moments when that's required, but then if that's not allowing you to some way allow for people out there in the world to see your work, that's a jail that you are in. Yeah, that's a very stifling place. Of course, you would go into these tiny little tight spaces and then come on, and then all that keeps happening. But we are humans. But expression, that's where you grow, even when sometimes people may not be able to see how you're growing. And then I went back to my website and I was thinking, I'm going to delete that page. And then I read it. And then I was thinking, a lot of things that I'm doing, what's showed up over the months, over the years, is also in response to what I wrote on that page. So one person, I don't know how many people have read it, but I was about to delete it. I think I'm going to keep that there. Yeah. Because it's like you can go back and then check on what happened and oh my goodness. Yeah, which is why you should have a record. People have family albums. You have to go back to this is how things were and how changes have. So I hope you have your own album, your pages to look back to. Yeah. Thank you so much for your kind interest and for your support and encouragement and all those people who are watching me, listening to me in whatsoever manner. However, this video helps you become better, healthier, some way contribute to other people in your own ways. I think we could all do with a little bit of care. Yeah. Gentle mind, kind care. Thank you for doing all that you're doing already. Yeah. I'll try. I'll try doing better. Yeah. Thank you and good day.